on. Go on. We can even have dual tones. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Welcome to our time of gathering and worship this morning here at University Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. My name, if you haven't figured it out already, is Michael, and I will be leading our time of worship together today. Please take a time right now to just silence your electronic devices so they don't interrupt our time of worship together. And then our musical prelude this morning is going to be the Beatles' classic Strawberry Fields Forever. And it's going to be led by John and Stephanie.
That was the prelude. We already did that.
They've already done that. Okay. Wasn't it good? Nothing like being prepared, right? So, we'll move right along now to committee moments. And before we actually begin our time of worship, I invite representatives of different committees or groups to come forward to the microphone over here and share their news with us.
Okay, Paula Despang, speaking for service leaders. I'd like to add a couple of more service leaders to the roster. If you have considered doing this, if you feel comfortable with a microphone and you feel comfortable about thinking well and think it's important to think well about the service long before it begins, you might be the right candidate for this task. And I won't have you on there. Nobody gets to do this every week in a row. Oh, Michael, but he's different. But typically, it's like once every 2 months that you would be on the schedule. It's not like an everyday thing. So consider that. Get in touch with me. I'm the person who does the scheduling, and I can teach you how to do it. Be a service leader. Not a formal class. Not a formal class. So there will be instruction. I offer that for free. Okay.
Well, having recently been in the Czech Republic, they found out part of their Velvet Revolution was they gathered in the square and shook keys to tell the Soviets to go home. I found a set that I hope somebody would like to have to go home with. That's the first thing. Second thing, next week is our belated 4th of July potluck. We're going to be grilling kosher hot dogs, hamburgers, and eggplant. So I hope that covers everybody. If you do not like to cook but would like to bring some supplies, please reach me out to me after service, and I've got a list of things I'd like to have brought that don't involve any cooking, so that's good for those. Otherwise, you don't have to bring something. We just want everybody to come and enjoy. And the last thing is, I'm still looking for a few baristas for late July, so also see me after service.
Hi, I'm Celia Mitchell, and on July 14th at 7 p.m., the Film Club will be showing Casablanca. We're going to have a discussion about sacrifice and loyalty. Also, dinner will be provided. If you have any questions, I'll be in the back after service.
Hello, I'm James McDevitt-Phelps, RA coordinator. The RA program is looking for a few items for its garden, and in the spirit of our seventh principle, before we go out and buy new things, we want to check to see if you guys happen to have any of them lying around that you'd like to donate. So, what we're looking for are 2 cinder blocks, a garden hose, and a spray nozzle for said hose. So if any of you happen to have those lying out in your backyard and you've been hoping to get rid of them, but you just haven't gotten around to bringing them to Goodwill or something, here's a new opportunity. Let me know. Awesome, awesome. Going. Wow, this is working out really well. That is amazing. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone. If you can bring it next week, or if that doesn't work out, you can just see me and we'll arrange to go ahead and get it. Thank you guys so much. That was amazing. All of us coming together. So thank you. Have a wonderful Sunday.
Hi, I'm Karen Cowden. I've recently taken the hat off of Ann Packham as she stepped into president, and I'm stepping into personnel chair. So I just wanted to report some lovely news. We have done amazing work and been so collaborative. We have fantastic staff here. Do you all agree?
Yes.
Yes. Woohoo! So we wanted to support that and have just kind of a common document. So we have created a revised personnel manual. The last one was done in 2012. Michael serves on that as vice president. He stepped in. So we just wanted to share that is in the works and it's been presented to the board. But the goal with that is to have a living document where the staff feel empowered to talk to us, we feel empowered to talk to them, and just have common language. So thank you for the work.
Good morning, Lorraine Williams representing Pastoral Care. Thank you, Patrick and Kelly, that got this going for us today. I'm very psyched about this little thing we're having on the 16th. I think it will have lots of good information. We have childcare set up if you want to come. Last time that was an oversight on our part. But we have it this time. We will have a lap luncheon for you while you learn. So, and the kids in the back will have that same opportunity for lunch. What else was I supposed to talk about? Oh, there's a RSVP. Kelly has got all kinds of information online, different blurbs and stuff, and you can point your camera at the little QR or whatever it's called thing, and sign up. And we need the sign-up number for food for the Lunch and Learn is why we're asking for you to give us a heads up on if you will be here or not. And if you don't want to do that, tell me that you're coming and I'll do the thing for you. We had flyers that we got a couple of them printed. We'll get some more printed this week. If you live in a neighborhood in Lindsay, where's Lindsay? Lindsay, I'm particularly thinking of you. You have a community bulletin board that maybe you could put a flyer on to attract attention. The information that we're hoping to share and hoping to give you insights on is really valuable information. If you've ever had to follow up on somebody's estate after they've died and have left no direction or don't have the paperwork or that, it's awful. And I think that's all for today. Thank you. Yes? Martha is here.
Martha's right
Martha
behind you.
Hi, I'm Ender, representing the Dungeons and Dragons group that we have here, and today's gonna be our first virtual meeting, I think. First one, and that's it. I can't think of anything else.
Thank you, Enda. So for my opening words this morning, I kind of struggled this morning to come up with some words. We are getting ready to celebrate the 4th of July, the independence where the people in this country rose up against my former country. But at the time, that was the only way that they could do it. We are still having troubles in our country, but we have other ways to do that. We have the power to vote. Not all of us, unfortunately, but a lot of us. So I found a reading from Henri Nouwen from one of his books called The Road to Peace. He was born in 1932 and died in 1996. He was a Dutch Roman Catholic priest. He was a professor, a writer, and a theologian. His interests, his interests were rooted primarily in psychology and pastoral ministry, spirituality, social justice, and community. And after nearly 2 decades of teaching at academic institutions, including the University of Notre Dame, Yale Divinity School, and Harvard Divinity School, Nouwen went on to work with individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities at L'Arche Daybreak Community in Richmond Hill, Ontario, Canada. He wrote in this book about his experience with the marches, the first and the second march, from Selma to Montgomery during the Civil Rights Movement days beginning. He says, "It all began with a feeling of restlessness, an inner compulsion, a fierce gnawing, a painful question. Why aren't you in Selma?" Asking of himself. "You talk about integration. You may say that it's more than a national problem. You believe in the right of men and women to be free, but you're not in Selma. No time, no money, or no courage. Seldom have I felt this inner restlessness so strongly than after Martin Luther King made his appeal to his people to help in the struggle for freedom. And seldom have there been so many people coming up with excuses for not going. It's a local affair and it's not up to you to interfere, especially since you're a foreigner. You're looking for thrills and excitement. Better to do your duty where you are instead of running off to a problem for which you can't possibly bear any lasting responsibility." But the restlessness would not go away. It even increased as the days go by. So my question is, have you ever felt that you should be joining in some action against wrongdoing? Have you ever come up with excuses? Think about what is going on in our country today and dig deep into your hearts. So for our opening music this morning, we will be led by John and Stephanie as we sing the Woody Guthrie classic, "This Land Is Your Land." And please stand and join us as we sing.
We're going to assume you all know this. It's not going to end that's in your chair. So we're doing the verses everybody knows. This land is your land. As I went walking down that ribbon highway, and I rode and rambled and followed my footsteps that way. And if you don't know those, feel free to sing that this land is your land over and over. And we'll be fine with that. But just sing out and have fun. This land is your land,
this land is my land, from California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Sea waters. This land is made for you and me.
as I went walking.
As I went walking down the highway, I saw about me that endless skyway. I saw Cannoni Valley. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. Oarsmen rambled and heard footsteps.
Despite the sounds of retirement deserts, and all around me a voice was sounding.
This land was made for you and me. This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the deep sea borders. This land was made for you and me. This land was made for you and me. Yeah. So this morning, our chalice lighter is Anastasia. Her pronouns are she and her. She's 10 years old. And Anastasia's joy is that she's happy to be with us today. And we're happy you're here too. Oops. That's okay. No problem. We're here. Good. And let us recite these words. In the light of truth and the warmth of love, we gather to seek, to sustain, and to share. And now we affirm our belief as who we are as a community here. Please join me. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its gift. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek truth in love, and to help one another. I want to wish a warm welcome to all of you who are gathered here today with us, especially those of you who are gathered with us for the first time. I hope you come and visit with us more than just the one time. We have a variety of speakers. Our minister speaks to us twice a month. We have people from academia come and share their stories. We have ministers from other denominations and faiths come, as we have this morning. And we even have members of our own congregation speak on Sundays. So please come and join us. We also welcome, if you would turn to those, wave to those who are visiting us online. We are glad that you can be with us today, and please, we are thankful that you have joined us. Now, please take a moment to turn to those around you and greet one another. Now is a time when we share with one another our joys and our concerns. And it's time to come up to the microphone here and to remember to share briefly what is going on in your life, in the life of your family and friends, and in with our church family. But please also remember that whatever you say, the whole wide world is going to hear. We are going out over the air. Ethan.
I have for joy that I got a brand new train.
With his own money. I forgot to tell you that. I'm Kathy Cowden, and I've been a member now of the rental committee for about too long, for lots of time. And in the last several months, we have managed to, that is a membership of, let's see, it's it was mostly led by Ann, who's off in the skies, I think, today somewhere, and Barry, and then we had Derek pop in, helping because of his relationship to the property here, and myself. And I think Martha was involved as well, remotely. So we have accomplished finally a renter who has, and not only do we have a renter, they've signed the lease for 3 years and have paid 6 months rent in advance. All of this was a group committee and group effort, but definitely a lot of accolades need to go to our upcoming president, Ann. She just did a great job in sticking with this prospective tenant. So it's going to be a preschool again, and we've already taken we've already had the floor replaced, and the tenants are going to do some alterations in the building as painting and general fix-up and put it in shape to be a childcare, which they hope to open at least by the 1st of August.
Good morning, Martha Kirby. I cannot thank you guys enough for the cards, the flowers, the texts, the emails, just the love I could feel coming through the air, because I know it helped me heal, even though the rehab I was in said, you know, happy people heal faster, and that is my MO, to be optimistic and happy. I had a seizure due to low oxygen. I pulled my own shoulders out of my sockets, and they went behind my scapula, and then my humeruses broke. So I have all these pins and plates, but miraculously I'm having no pain. I feel 100%, and I worked out just enough to be able to get myself out of bed and keep going. So it's as good as it can be, and I think in another month I'll be back to normal. So we'll just see. I won't be climbing on ladders anymore, so someone else will have to volunteer to get up and get the little, you know, the bugs that get in the lights that you got to take all that down. I don't see that in my future. Skydiving and hiking to Machu Picchu have also moved down on my priority list, but everything else I'll be able to do soon. So it feels so good to be home and back where I feel the most love I can. And my other joy is having my daughter with me, because she flew out right away, and my college roommate stayed. And, you know, if it wasn't for these broken shoulders, I'd just be 100%. So hopefully soon. But thank you, everybody. It helped.
My joy is that Dunkaroos exist and I have them at my house and I ate them. They're a snack.
All of those kids who went to school in the 90s, you know where it's at. So my name is Crystal, and so some of you might know that I've been working through my master's program. And on Tuesday, I submitted my comprehensive exams, which is 3 very long essays you have to write, and you only have a weekend to write them. They give you the prompts on Friday. You have to turn them in Tuesday morning. Not fun. Shout out to Amanda, who disappeared with my children for an entire day. I got the results back a lot faster than I was expecting, and I got a very, very rare passes without revisions, and I was marked as outstanding, which is, again, incredibly hard to get. So.
Hi, Chloe Hatfield. This is a dream 2 years in the making. When I heard it was coming to town, I immediately caught wind of it, and I was there for when ticket sales went out. Unfortunately, tickets went out 10 minutes because of scalpers, and I was really sad about that. But I had the opportunity last night to go see Beetlejuice the Musical, which is one of my favorite musicals, and I had an amazing time. It was better than I expected. It was a dream come true. Like I said, 2 years in the making, and I'm still just riding that high from last night. I was just having a great time. So that is my joy, that I got to have an amazing time with my roommate to go see one of our favorite musicals, and it was just amazing because I didn't think it was going to happen, but I was able, by last minute, got that opportunity to go see it.
Hi, I'm Ender. I'm back again. I just came back from Tallahassee from FSU band camp, so yeah, I survived.
Hi, I'm Miak. Does anybody here have any experience with Wireshark, and packet analysis? I bought an Internet of Things device, and it wants to phone home every time before it starts doing what you bought it for. I'd really love to understand what it's doing and what's going to happen when that website goes away that it tries to go to. Thanks.
Hi all, I have nothing but joys today. Yahoo! 3 joys. The first is that the first part isn't exactly a joy, but it ends with a joy. When I had my hysterectomy in February, I started putting on water weight like crazy because I have congestive heart failure. And so I gained 60 pounds in 3 months. And I took 1/10 of it off overnight because they changed the medication Friday. So things are looking up. Okay, so that's very good news. The other joy I have is that my very favorite YA fantasy author has a new book out. My very favorite YA author, who we don't talk about. But there's a new book out called Hearts Forged in Dragonfire. And I think it would be great if y'all read it. It's free if you have Kindle Unlimited, and there are other ways to get it too. So, Hearts Forged in Dragonfire by Erica Hollis. And that's all I'm going to tell you. Okay, all right. So the other thing is that I'm in this great knitting and crafting group. We do all kinds of crafts, and we meet on Saturday mornings not far from where I stand. And if you are interested in joining a really supportive, lovely craft group, let me know. We meet every Saturday at 10:30. And we are actually having a craft swap on the 15th at 1:30 in the afternoon, and that will be for any kind of crafting supplies. The vast majority of us are fiber crafters, as you can tell. And I made my hat too. The vast majority of us are fiber crafters, but we accept beads, wood. We have people who do metal tooling work, leather tooling, all kinds of stuff. So, and the deal is you bring stuff, you take stuff, and whatever's left over at the end of the day gets donated to, I can't remember the name of this senior facility that's not far from here that has a resident program as well as daycare, and they do like arts and crafts stuff with the residents. So nobody takes anything home, so it's a great way to get rid of crap. So anyway, you are invited, and if you want more information, let me know. Thank you. You want it?
Hi, I'm Susie, and some of you probably already know that I'm starting my master's degree in August, and part of that happening is I need to get a job on campus because part of that is the tuition waived. And my concern is that I had an interview about almost 3 weeks ago now that I thought went well. And I was told I'd hear back from them within a week. And then they were like, hey, we're still deliberating, so it'll be a little longer. And I have not heard anything since. So hopefully I have a job. So yeah, hopefully.
My joy is I went to the Spider-Man movie last week.
Well, I'm Melanie, and I have 2 joys. The first one is we went and saw my mom last weekend. She lives south of here, and she's doing great. It's always good to see mom and thriving. And my second one is I am having my own hysterectomy this week, which will put an end to a 2+ year journey that I will be so glad will be over with the permanent solution. I was about to say something that really wasn't going to come out right. Didn't mean to go there, sorry. Those are my 2 joys, thank you.
So I'm going to share a joy, but I have a question first. How many of you have a really great friend? Nice. How many of you know that friendship is at the beginning of life and the end of life? So my friend passed away, but it was a joy to actually go see her. And it was a joy to be at both spectrums of meeting her and saying goodbye to her. That is the definition to me of true friendship. You don't get the fun without the what is the word I'm looking? Finality. Yeah. Very sudden. I'll go through my grief later. But the other thing is, I just serendipitously had decided to do the St. Jude Children's Walk. And you're supposed to walk 2 miles every day for 62 miles, and I'm turning 52, so I'm like, well, I'm off by 10 miles, but that's fine. So I thought that's kind of just serendipitous that she would want me to keep walking and keep doing, and especially for children. She was a counselor. Her name's Gloria, and she and I worked at Valencia. She's just a Spitfire woman. Boy, oh boy, does she have a temper. But it was such a delightful, it was a just tempter. She wanted the people in her counseling office to see justice. And so I love to carry that legacy for her. And she loved purple. So, yeah. So thank you. Be a good friend on both ends.
Well, what a perfect leadway into my joy. Many of you know Imam Sykes. Well, the person who introduced me to him is here. My best friend in all the world, Yasin, is here visiting us from Connecticut. And he is a teacher of languages in Choate boarding school in Connecticut. And when I go there, he's going to show me JFK's former dorm room. So I'm looking forward to that. But no, JFK did not sneak in Marilyn Monroe into the... He didn't know her at that time. But I'm very happy to have him. He's staying with me. He stayed with me this week with his son, Adam, and it's a wonderful joy to have him.
We have had a lot of joys and concerns shared with each other today. Please just take a moment of silence and lift up those joys and concerns, also the ones that we carry in our hearts as well, and let us lift them up. Amen. We now have time for all ages, and James, I see, is making his way up front, and so welcome and share your message this morning.
Thank you. And I'm going to use this one today so that I can go ahead and bring it to you guys when I ask you guys questions later. So, this Tuesday, as I think most of us know, is Independence Day. It's the anniversary of the approval of the Declaration of Independence, when a group of people in the American colonies of Great Britain declared that they would no longer consider themselves part of Great Britain. That's generally considered the start of our country when it became an independent country in and of itself. Now, this Declaration of Independence was a bit of a mixed bag. It called Native Americans nasty names and complained that the king made it harder to take land from them. While it claimed rights for the landowning white men who signed the document, in practice they were pretty happy not to give those rights to most of the people around them. But it had some really good parts too, such as when it declared that all men are created equal and have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and when it said that governments exist to protect these rights. It said that kings didn't have the right to just do whatever they wanted to the people they ruled over, that the people have a right to have a say in their government. It even complained that the king was making immigration too hard. A lot of the things that the Declaration of Independence complained about had to do with people not being given a vote in things that concerned them, which is something our fifth principle says everyone should have. The people who signed the Declaration of Independence changed things so that more people had a vote in more things that concerned them than before, but still not most people. over the years, more people have come along and made it so that more and more people have a vote about things that concern them, so that now most grown-ups in the United States are able to vote for people to represent them in government, but still not all grown-ups. Our principle doesn't specifically say that people should be able to vote for people to represent them in government, though. It says that the democratic process, voting, should be used within our congregations and in society at large. But what exactly does that mean? Does it just mean that people should get to vote for representatives in government and maybe directly for or against some laws? Or does it call for democracy to be present in other parts of our society too? What might that look like? I'd like for us to explore that question. So please, let's gather some ideas about how we might have more democracy, more voting in the world, in our workplaces, in our schools, maybe even in our families. These ideas don't have to be feasible right now. They can be something that would work really well or wouldn't work really well or might be something in between. Let's just see what we can come up with about having more democracy in our everyday lives. Okay, so that people online can hear, I'm going to bring the mic to you guys, okay? I've made the mistake before, but I will respect them and let them hear. Okay, you had your hand up first, I believe.
Every election day is a national holiday.
More referendums and fewer of our representatives making decisions.
Take big business out of the big business money out of the voting process.
I like Roy's idea of term limits.
Kids should be able to vote for the what's principal of their schools.
Ranked choice voting.
Thank you for giving me exercise, guys.
Police officers would have to carry their manuals to reference because they would actually have to know the rules they're trying to enforce.
Elimination of the Electoral College.
She took mine.
We live together, what can I say?
Oh, we have a third. That was a popular one. Anything else? How about something to do with workplaces? Okay.
Higher minimum wage.
Were you raising your hand? Okay. Okay, here.
Mandatory maternity and paternity leave.
Every parent in a workplace should be able to have a few days to just be paid and spend it with their kids. Like vacation days for your kids.
When candidates are running for office, they should not be allowed to say negative things about their opponents. They should only talk about how great they will be and what they will do for us.
Employees can do a review on their boss just as much as the boss on them.
Nationalize health insurance.
Reinstill voting rights to felons.
You should be able to bring your pet to work.
This is sort of workplace and political, and it's that people running for office who hold one office should not be able to continue holding that office while running for another office.
Don't kill animals.
I see one more in the back.
a very careful reconsideration of banning of books.
Okay, I'll have a final call. Oh, I really shouldn't have turned my back right there. That was right where I was.
Idea for a law. We should make it so instead of waiting till animals are endangered to make it illegal to hunt them, we should wait until they're being affected by it. So like if the deer numbers start going down, we shouldn't wait until they're endangered. We should wait and stop at when it starts being affected. But if it's not being affected, it's fine.
Abolish factory farming.
Free education for anyone that wants a higher education.
Let everybody be free.
I think that is a wonderful one to end with here. Thank you, everyone. Those were wonderful. And I hope that they can all help us imagine the full breadth of possibilities for a more democratic society that we might be able to build. Thank you.
We now have our opportunity to show our support for the ministries not only of UUF, but also of a nonprofit organization in the region who reaches out to those who are in need. 40% of our offering goes to a different group each quarter, and this month we are supporting the Coalition of Imolaki Workers. So while the baskets are being passed, join us as we sing America the Beautiful.
Actually, it might be easier for me just to sing this one, because we've altered
Go for
some
it.
lyrics to make them fit our sermon topic a little better. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of rain, for purple mountain majesties above the freighted plain. America, America, God shed their grace on thee, and crown thy good with personhood, from sea to shining sea. Oh, beautiful for pilgrims' feet, who stirred in passion's stress, a thoroughfare for freedom beat across the wilderness. America, America, we own our every flaw. Confirm our souls in self-control and liberty law.
Now let us sing our children out as they head to the classes. We love you and bless you and send you on your way. We love you and bless you today and every day. Today our speaker is the Reverend James Coffin. Jim recently retired as Executive Director of the Interfaith Council of Central Florida, where he served for many years. He grew up on a farm in Missouri. He earned his degree in theology at Newbold College in England. He has worked in Australia for 10 years, in the United States for 26 years, both as a congregational pastor and as a religious magazine editor. Over the past 25 years, he has had some 75 opinion pieces printed up in the Orlando Sentinel. He and his wife, Leonie, have 3 adult sons, 2 daughters-in-law, and 1 grandchild. His topic this morning is When Government Gets It Wrong. And I think he'll be answering the question, why does a fan of the 10 Commandments argue that there should never be laws requiring the 10 Commandments be posted in public school classrooms or any other state facility? So at this time, please welcome Reverend Jim.
Necessarily totally connected. And I'm going to start off by talking about, briefly, about the law that was proposed in Texas recently of, as the Reverend alluded to, of placing the 10 Commandments on the wall of every classroom in every public school in the state of Texas. And Calvin Coolidge was always known for his very brief speeches, and so one time he went to church. He came home, and in his quiet way, they said to him, "Well, what did the preacher preach about?" He said it was about sin. Well, what did he say about it? He was against it. And so let me just sum it up by saying I'm against the idea of the 10 Commandments in the classrooms, and that may come as a little bit of a surprise because I'm a real fan of the 10 Commandments. So I want to talk about that first, and then I want to talk about the Christian nationalism in general that's behind such movements and how I find that to be quite un-American. So I find that not only to be contrary to at least the Christian values that I hold, to put the 10 Commandments there, but I find it to be against our governmental values that we've held, at least traditionally. The 10 Commandments are not just a list of rules. It has to do with a relationship. And so in the 10 Commandments, the giving of the 10 Commandments, God says that, folks, I want to remind you, I made a covenant with you. You were slaves, I delivered you. Now, this is how I'd like to have you perceive life. This is how I'd like to have you live. And it's not just some arbitrary law that's out there that can be taken anywhere. It's in the context of a relationship between an overseeing God, a caring God, a loving God, and now here's how you can live. In fact, I wouldn't really call them the 10 Commandments. I would rather say there are 2 invitations and 8 safeguards. Okay, because 8 of the commandments are negative. They say, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. Only 2 of them are positive. And I would suggest that the 2 positive commandments are actually saying it's really imperative that you come to understand the truth about God and who God is. Now let me just say, when I speak here, I'm always talking, when I'm telling you what I happen to believe, that's descriptive. I'm not saying this is prescriptive for you. Okay, I'm just giving the context in which my mind is working. And you may see things in an altogether different way. And so don't think that I'm trying to scold anybody or, browbeat anybody or anything like that. Okay, but the 10 Commandments were given, or as I like to call it, the 2 invitations and the 8 safeguards, were given in the context of God taking the initiative to do something big and wonderful for a group of people. And he says, now, let's have this relationship. We have a covenant. It's an agreement. We don't have those kind of covenants with our national laws or our local laws or whatever. It's not predicated on that kind of relationship. And so he says there's 2 things I want you to get right. One is to understand about God, and the 4th commandment talks about God as the creator, if we read it in Exodus chapter 20. And it talks about God as the Redeemer or Deliverer, if we read the version of the Ten Commandments that appear in Deuteronomy chapter 5. And so it says, this is the God who does things for you, who creates you, and who delivers you when you're in dire circumstances. And this is what I've done for you. I want you to be reminded of that. And so I'm telling you that you should set aside a day every week just to think about the great picture of the universe, what it's all about. And I happen to believe that there's a God there at the center of the universe, but the concept of sort of refocusing on our identity, who we are and why we're here, makes a lot of sense. And so there are 3 safeguards about this. And it says, make sure, first of all, that you're focusing on the real God, the right God. Okay, the first one, have no other gods before me. Then it says, keep a very elastic picture of what God's all about. And so the God that I perceive is not necessarily the God that you perceive, and you may perceive something that you wouldn't even label God, but it still is a defining reality within your life. And so it's important that you keep that defining reality elastic so you haven't locked in. And so God says, don't try to objectify that which defies objectification. Don't make statues. Don't try to portray God in a tangible way, because there is no way that you're not going to diminish God by doing that. Then it says, watch your words as well. Don't use the name of the Lord your God in vain. In other words, now what we usually think about is when you smash your thumb, don't use the name of God. That's kind of at the very beginning level. Okay, but it goes beyond that. When we try to attach the name of God to something that is undeserving of having the name of God attached to it, that's taking the name of God in vain. And you know who are the worst offenders in this? Ministers, preachers. We are the ones who are the worst about that. Those preachers who are in a tradition where we believe that there's a God, we have a tendency to try to present our ideas and our perspectives and our goals and aspirations and all those kind of things in the context of God. And therefore, we diminish God because, I would say that many of the atheists that I've met are not necessarily atheists because they're philosophically opposed to the idea of God. They just haven't ever seen a God that they could believe in. And why? Because of the way we presented that God. Who would want to believe in the God that causes us to live and behave the way some of us do? And so that's taking the name of the Lord in vain. And so God says, I want you to know about this ultimate reality, this big thing, and I don't want you to diminish it by going in the wrong direction, by trying to make it too concrete. Keep it elastic, and be careful how you use your words about it as well. Now, God the Creator created human beings, and we all look at in different ways about how we got here and how this all took place and so on. But the second invitation is to honor our father and our mother, because human beings operate in this world in kind of the same way that God operates in the universe, for those who believe in God. And so God says, I'm passing the creativity on to you. And I'm not going to create every person who might ever be in the world. I'm creating 2. And that's a kind of an interesting concept, because even science suggests that it appears that we all came from the same source. It's all been handed down. We've got this, it goes back to a single breeding pair. And so we need to recognize that we're all equal, that we're all from the same source. And so the concern is that we honor our humanity appropriately, and father, mother, parenthood is symbolic of that humanity, that familial relationship that we have with each other. And so then it goes on and it says, okay, now here are some safeguards that you need to look at. 5 safeguards. Don't kill each other. You know, that just doesn't work very well. Okay, and I would suggest that God is creative, God is loving, and God is freedom defending. And therefore, human beings in our sphere should be creative, we should be loving, and we should be freedom defending. And the worst that we can do is to kill somebody. Okay, then it says, well, when it comes to the relationship, deeply committed relationships don't commit adultery. Don't water it down. The word adulterate and adultery come from the same root. You know, this relationship should be so special that you're not willing to water it down. Then it goes on, don't steal. Well, it's not very creative to steal, it's not very loving, and it deprives the other person of the freedom that they should have. And then we go on down to don't tell lies about people, whether it's in court or wherever it is. Don't tell lies about people. So, and then we finally come down to the last one, which says, and remember this, it all starts in your head. Thou shalt not covet. That's altogether different because all the other things contained there are very concrete actions. Thou shalt not covet. It's when something's going on in the head that you want something that you would like to have, but you really shouldn't have. And so that's the context. And I say, you know, unless you've got the relationship, unless you've got the big picture, you're not going to be able to really benefit from this law, because this is a very philosophical thing. This is a very symbolic thing. This is something which, you know, is to kind of stretch our minds. It's not just a code of behavior and nothing else. That's how I see it. So I see putting the 10 Commandments on the walls in every classroom as taking the name of God in vain, because we're trying shortcuts to get to something, and that's not the way it should go. Okay, so the first of the trilogy is over, and that was the longest one. Now we're going to get a little shorter. Okay, here in the United States, we have gone through a bit of a checkered past, and this was alluded to this morning already. James, when he was going through his thing, said the Declaration of Independence has some really great things, and it has some things that are not quite so good. We have tended to whitewash the idea of the religious liberty thing, and we've sort of read back into history certain things that didn't exist. The Pilgrims did not come to this country because they believed in pluralism. They came to this country because they didn't believe in pluralism. Robert Ingersoll said that the Pilgrims left England to go to Holland because they wanted to escape persecution. Holland had a tremendous amount of religious liberty. It was a very pluralistic society. And so the Pilgrims were not persecuted in Holland, but they had all of these aberrant ideas, as they perceived them, that their children were subjected to. Now, there were multiple reasons why they left and came to the New World, but it's clearly stated, they actually said, it's because we don't want our children to be exposed to all these ideas that are not the ideas that we want them to be thinking about. And so Ingersoll said they left England to go to Holland to escape religious persecution, and they left Holland to come to the United States to escape religious liberty. Okay, now that, you know, and that's not the way we tell the story. You know, at Thanksgiving, we don't talk about the idea. Well, they came, and so they immediately went back to old systems from the old country, and they combined the civil government and the religious government. And so that was what they did here, and it didn't work well. If you didn't go to church, you were punished because you missed church. Next time you missed, the punishment was greater, and ultimately you became a slave of the colony, you know, for a prolonged period of time. They had the stocks, they had all types of shaming and so on that they did. And it was very contrary to what we think of as a pluralistic society with religious liberty. Well, there just happened to be a young preacher who came along, and he said, you know, folks, we've got it wrong. Government and religion shouldn't be together. His name was Roger Williams. He was a Puritan. He was part of that environment. And they said, we think you should shut up. We really don't like what you have to say. And the religious leaders didn't like it, and the government leaders didn't like it. And they said, you got your choice, shut up, or we'll take care of it. And so he was excommunicated on the religious side, and he was banished on the governmental side. But he didn't shut up. And so he went over to England, and while he was there waiting to try to get the support of the king for a land grant so he could set up his own colony, which he ultimately did, which was Rhode Island. But during that time, he continued to think about this idea, the separation of church and state. The way he described it was, and I'm using his words here, and this is more than 150 years before the Declaration of Independence. So this goes back quite a way. And he says that there should be a hedge or a wall of separation between the garden of the church and the wilderness of the world. And so he while he was in England waiting to get this permission, it was several years he was there, he interacted with the Enlightenment thinkers of Europe. And he kind of talked about his experience in Massachusetts, and he talked to them, and they influenced him, and he influenced them, and then the Enlightenment thinking came to us, from other sources as well. And by the time we get to the writers of the Declaration of Independence and the preparers of the Constitution, the overwhelming majority of people were on the side of Roger Williams. And so that was quite a change. And so Thomas Jefferson took his idea of this hedge, this wall of separation, and he's the one who kind of popularized it, made it more famous, but he was actually borrowing from Roger Williams. And in his autobiography, Jefferson tells us that he was instrumental in passing a Religious Freedom Act, Religious Liberty Act in Virginia. And he said this, that there were calls for the inclusion of a reference to Jesus Christ in this law that they were writing, and it was heartily voted down, thus ensuring that the legislation would protect the Jew and the Gentile, the Christian and the Mohammedan, the Hindu and the infidel of every denomination. Thomas Jefferson was committed to pluralism. He was committed to what Roger Williams had been committed to, and that was the direction that things went. And then he, in talking about it later, said, I contemplate with sovereign reverence the act of the whole American people, which declared that their legislature should make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, thus building a wall of separation between church and state. And so those legislative bodies, like in Texas, who are trying to, bring it all back together again, they're looking at something that was tried in Europe and it failed. It was tried here and it failed. And yet they're wanting to go back to that same kind of thing again. And they call it Christian nationalism. And I find it to be a very scary thing. It's a kind of a theocracy where religion dictates and government enforces. And that's not what we need, I don't think. And I don't want it for the Ten Commandments, and I don't want it for all these other things as well, both from my perspective as a Christian minister and also from my perspective of being an American who believes in the ideal of what America is and has been. So a final quote here, and I'll end up my second vignette, and that is that James Madison said, and I think this is really significant because he was the prime creator of our Constitution, the drafter of our Constitution. He said, the experience of the United States is a happy disproof of the error so long rooted in the unenlightened minds of well-meaning Christians, as well as in the corrupt hearts of persecuting usurpers, that without legal incorporation of religious and civil polity, neither could be supported. You know, if you don't bring them together, bad for religion, bad for government. He said, no, no, no. You know, that's an unenlightened mind that thinks that. A mutual independence is found to be the most friendly to practical religion, to social harmony, and to political prosperity. And so there's this move afoot, and it's gaining a lot of ground, and it's very open. People are no longer sort of doing it behind the scenes. It's very open, the idea of trying to bring Christianity in as kind of the official religion and the preferred religion and the one that gets the benefit. And so I oppose that strongly. And there's actually an organization called Christians Against Christian Nationalism, and that would be worth looking up and checking on it. Okay, now I'm to the bottom end now, my third. And I came here a year ago at the 4th of July, or close to it. And Martha asked me if I would come, and I said, well, I've got some poems I would share. And she said, well, are they, so who are you quoting? And so I gave her a list of ones. She said, anything from Langston Hughes. Well, actually, I didn't know much about Langston Hughes. There are a lot of blind spots in my life, and that was one of them. And so because she'd suggested Langston Hughes, I said, okay, I better learn a couple. And so I shared a couple of Langston Hughes poems with you a year ago. But today, as we're moving to the 4th of July, coming up on it, I wanted to share with you a poem from Langston Hughes. And this is called Let America Be America Again. And so you can blame Martha for the fact that I'm sharing this with you. And if you just listen to the Let America Be America Again, it might sound somewhat similar to Make America Great Again. But it actually is quite different. Because Make America Great Again is actually kind of a nostalgic yearning for a time when society seemed to be simpler because we didn't have all of these minorities and so on who were clamoring for attention, and it was just so much easier. And so let's go back to that. Whereas Let America Be America Again is a poem about the great ideal and the great dream and the great inclusiveness, where everyone is coming into the picture. It's the ultimate in pluralism. Now keep in mind, this is written by a young black who was 34 years old. This was in 1935 that he wrote this. And not only were they suffering from the Depression, which was making life tough for a lot of people, poor people particularly, but the Jim Crow laws were still very much intact. And so for the black, what the white people were going through with the Depression was amplified many times over. It was just that much more complicated. And keep in mind, this is him talking, not me. And so he's very supportive of the American dream, but he's also very candid about how it's failed. And I really think it's quite an appropriate poem for us to have at this time. Let America be America again. Let it be the dream it used to be. Let it be the pioneer on the plain seeking a home where he himself is free. America never was America to me. Let America be the dream the dreamers dreamed. Let it be that great, strong land of love where never kings connive nor tyrants scheme that any man be crushed by one above. It's never been America to me. Oh, let my land be a land where liberty is crowned with no false patriotic wreath, but opportunity is real and life is free. Equality is in the air we breathe. There's never been equality for me, nor freedom in this homeland of the free. Say, who are you who mumbles in the dark, and who are you who draws your veil across the stars? I am the poor white, fooled and pushed apart. I am the Negro bearing slavery scars. I am the red man driven from the land. I am the immigrant clutching the hope I seek and finding only the same old stupid plan of dog eat dog and mighty crush the weak. I am the young man full of strength and hope, tangled in that ancient endless chain of profit, power, gain, of grab the land, of grab the gold, of grab the ways of satisfying need, of work the men, of take the pay, of owning everything for one's own greed. I am the farmer, bondsman to the soil. I am the worker, sold to the machine. I am the Negro, servant to you all. I am the people, humble, hungry, mean, hungry yet today, despite the dream, beaten yet today, O pioneers. I'm the man who never got ahead, the poorest worker bartered through the years. Yet, I'm the one who dreamt your basic dream in the old world while still a serf of kings, who dreamt a dream so strong, so brave, so true that still its mighty, its mighty daring sings in every brick and stone, in every furrow turned, that's made America the land it has become. Oh, I'm the man who sailed those early seas in search of what I meant would be my home. For I'm the one who left dark Ireland's shores and Poland's plain and England's grassy lea, and torn from black Africa's strand, I came to build a homeland for the free. Who said the free? Not me. Surely not me. The millions on relief today, the millions shot down when we strike, the millions who have nothing for our pay, for all the dreams we've dreamed and all the songs we've sung and all the hopes we've held and all the flags we've hung, the millions who have nothing for our pay except the dream that's almost dead today. Oh, let America be America again. Let it be the land that never has been yet and yet must be. The land where every man is free. The land that's mine. The poor man's, Indians, Negroes, me, who made America. Whose sweat and blood, whose faith and pain, whose hand at the foundry, whose plow in the rain must bring back our mighty dream again. Sure, call me any ugly name you choose. The steel of freedom does not stain. From those who live like leeches on the people's lives, we must bring back our land again, America. Oh yes, I say it plain. America never was America to me. And yet, I swear this oath, America will be. Out of the rack and ruin of our gangster death, the rape and rot of graft and stealth and lies, we, the people, must redeem the land, the mines, the plants, the rivers, the mountains, the endless plain, all the stretch of these great green states, and make America again. And that's all I have to say. Again, written in 1935, written in a different context, but I think quite applicable today. Thank you very much. Wish you the best. Have a happy 4th of July. Celebrate the blessings we've received and look to correct the things that need correcting.
Let us now extinguish our chalice with these words. We extinguish this flame. Our closing music this morning is We Are Building a New Way. It is led by Stephanie and John. And if you find it in the hymn books beside you, it's number 1017.
All right, y'all. We've been sitting a while. All right, at the end of every line where we start with we are something, or we can something, I want you to say together at the end of that line. Okay? You ready, John? We are building a new way. Together, we are
building a new way.
We
are building a new way. Feeling every day. We are building a new way.
Together, we are
working to be free. We are working to be free. We are working to be free.
hate and jealousy.
We are working to be free.
Together,
We can feed every need. We can feed every need.
that is the seed.
We can feed every need. We can feed every need.
Together,
Peace, freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry.
is our cry.
Without this world will die. Peace and freedom is our cry.
We are
building a new way. We are building a new way. We are building a new way. Feeling strong every day. We are building a new way.
together.
My closing words this morning again come from Henri Nouwen's book. At the end of the chapter on his march from Salem to Montgomery, he talks about 3 scared young black men who asked him to drive them away as they headed north to get out of the town. They were afraid for their lives. They stopped in Birmingham, Alabama for the night at the relatives of one of the young men by the name of Ronald. And he says, the next morning at 7 o'clock, We found the table laden with riches. We ate well. And then Ronald's old grandmother said, "Let's pray together that the Lord will protect you on this dangerous road and bring you safely home." As we were finally approaching the state line, Ronald said, "You know what my philosophy in life is? An old man on the march told me. He said, risk in faith, decide in hope, and suffer the consequences in love. That's my life," he said. Nighttime brought Saturday to a close. We said goodbye in St. Louis, Missouri, and I drove on alone through the darkness to Kansas City and Topeka. I knew that week had touched my heart far more than 1 year of study. And as my car sped through the night, I felt a newfound joy. Deep in my heart, I do believe that we shall overcome someday. His closing words. And so, my friends, our time of gathering and worship has ended. Now, even more so now, our service begins. So go out into the world, be strong and of good courage, hold fast to that which is good, render unto no one evil for evil, but go rejoicing in the power of our creative and loving Spirit. Thank you for all being with us today. Please take time to stop and get some refreshments before you hit the road again. Thank you.